Hi, Cecilia. Let's take a look at your new set of essays. Father staying at home, women working. Let's see what you wrote. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated about how fatherhood and motherhood from job are changing nowadays. I don't understand this sentence. What does that mean, fatherhood and motherhood from job? It doesn't really, we don't say that in English. I don't know, maybe in a language you speak, that's how it's phrased, but here it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Um, How else could you have said it? Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated the changing roles of mothers and fathers. That would have been nice. Okay. Some believe that mothers should stay at home and take care of their children personally, but personally I strongly disagree. This will argue that equality of fatherhood and its advantages. Okay. Using example from the Norway Childhood Institute and Bergen University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. All right. There are a couple of issues that I want to talk about here. The first one is this kind of intermediate sentence here. Some believe that women should stay at home, mothers should stay at home. That's not what the essay says. That's not what it's saying at all. And you're not being asked if they should stay at home or, if they should go out and work, or if men should stay home. You're asked why men are staying home and not women, presumably. Okay, so why are men staying home while women are working is the first question you're asked. And then is this shift in roles positive or negative? So this is not at all mentioned in the task that women should stay home. Not at all. Okay? I mean, okay, not at all. A little indirectly. So when they ask if this is a positive or negative development, again, it's not women working versus women staying at home. The focus is actually on the men staying home. And if this is positive, okay? Because if you think about it, women could stay at home or women could work. And, there's no mention of the men here, but this essay is very, very clearly asking you to talk about the fact that men are staying home while women are working. I don't know if that made sense. I'm not really sure. I apologize. But the point is that you're supposed to have some focus on the men here, all right? And what they're doing, what their role is. All right, and then this sentence was a little awkward. This essay will argue the equality of fatherhood and its advantages. Although I don't understand that either. I fixed it. Grammatically, you can't say that equality and the rest of the sentence. But I'm not really sure what this means. Like, are you saying that the equality of fatherhood is the reason why men are staying home? It's really just not very clear. It's really rather vague, and so it almost reads like it's a grammatical mistake of some sort. Um, but in any case, it's incoherent. We're not really sure what you're trying to say. Okay, and then this should be using examples, plural, and then the rest of it's fine. So let's move on. For example, evidence that fathers should take care of their children more, okay, or should take more care of their children. You have to move them more, though. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, nowadays our society is constantly looking for equality, and this is equality both for mothers and fathers. Okay. Secondly, fatherhood should be a fundamental right for fathers. They should have more time to spend with their children, especially when the newborn has arrived. Newborn is one word. For example, recent empirical research by the Norway Childhood Institute demonstrated that it is beneficial for the baby to spend more time with the father after breastfeeding. All right, careful with your spelling here. After the breastfeeding, no S, no apostrophe, period, with the mother. This is because it is crucial, both for fathers and children, to create a connection with the baby, especially during childhood. Get rid of them. It must not be forgotten that this is an important topic for equality for both of the parents. Mothers can work again and going back to their life, feeling themselves as women and not just mothers. Okay, so I kind of feel that you're talking about the topic, but you're not talking about what you're supposed to be talking about. What are you telling us here? You said that fathers should take more care of their children. And you're saying that equality is the reason why, equality, and then you're talking about it's a fundamental right. They should spend more time. And then you start talking about the newborn. That's not what this essay is about, okay? So you haven't quite grasped the topic here, and you're not really answering what they've asked you to answer. So, in other words, they're asking you, why are we seeing more men staying home with their children while their women go out to work? Okay, so the focus of this paragraph was wrong. Um, if you're thinking, yes, but Ellen, I said that. No, you didn't. You didn't say, because if you had said that, you could have cited a lot of reasons why this is happening. Number one, we have a shift in society where, here I'll agree with you, that because there's such an emphasis on equality of the genders, it's a society nowadays where we are more open to different lifestyles and to different life choices. So there's not a stigma attached to a man staying home. Okay, so in other words, the society in general is more accepting of this kind of thing. Also, we're also seeing the role of the woman change, where a woman now has more opportunities to work and to obtain her goals. So um, it's very possible that for some women, yes, they want to be mothers, but what they really want to focus their time and energy on is their career. However, they do want someone of the couple to stay with the children, and so they arrange for the father to stay home. Another reason why is again related to equality, but this time it's financial. So a lot of times we're seeing in families women making more money. Women are the breadwinners of the family. And so the couple decides that economically it's more viable for the woman to go work while the man stays home with the children. All right. Sometimes it's more economically feasible to do this than to get like a nanny, for example. So they make the decision that the woman will work while the man will stay home. So these are some of the things that you could have talked about here, um, as for reasons why this is happening. Okay, just to give you an idea. But this is the kind of stuff that you needed to be saying. All right. All right. Let's move on to your next paragraph. Although there are many problems from the elderly generation still thinking that children should not rise, but grow up with their mother, the impact of the father in children's life cannot be overlooked, not overstand, overlooked. This is largely because, in terms of equality, in terms of equality, comma, children experience the fact that both men and women can do the same things. For example, research from Bergen University showed that children raised with an A in families, careful with your typing, where father stayed at home taking care of them, had a balanced life, so change some of that, without judgment on which parent should do what. Moreover, this could be the base for future generations in order to have a clear idea of equality in work and parenting. All right, that's fine. I liked this, but it does feel a little underdeveloped. It's, I would say, somewhat shorter. It's about a third shorter than the other paragraph. Um, let's see. This was about, is this positive or negative? I would have liked to see maybe a little more about why it's positive. So you talked primarily that it's positive for children because it makes children more open-minded, but also think about overall happiness of the couple as well. So when a woman is free to choose what kind of lifestyle serves her and her family best, she, we would assume is happier. The same thing applies for the man as well. So happier parents equal happier families. All right. So you could have talked a little bit about that rather than just focusing on the fact that children become kind of more egalitarian. All right, so to conclude from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that fathers who spend more time at home instead of work is a positive development. It is predicted that this practice will increasingly grow in importance. Okay, that's fine. But just keep in mind some of the things that we addressed in that essay, things that I want you to work on. some of the task achievement for sure, because that was the big issue here, as well as some of that grammar. Let's take a look at your line graph. The given line graph, they're called line graphs. Otherwise, they're called bar charts, pie charts, but this is the only one that we actually use the word graph for. The given line graph shows the millimeters S of rainfall during 2018 in England, Scotland, Wales. Overall, it can be seen that the lowest peak of rainfall registered was in Scotland. Get rid of this it. Whereas the highest was in Wales. Okay, that's fine. As far as England's, here you needed an apostrophe S, rainfall is concerned, it can be seen that the highest point happened in July with approximately 125 ml of rain, whereas the lowest it registered was between May and June with almost 75. The first 4 months of the year, singular, this is awkward grammar here. Let's try it differently. The first 4 months of the year, recorded fluctuation, or experienced fluctuation. I don't like this nearby. That's awkward. I don't understand what that means. So the first 4 months of the year, recorded fluctuation, maybe near 100 milliliters of 100. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say. Followed by a drop in May and June, and later the highest point in July with more than 120. Another high peak was registered between September? Or do you mean in September? I'm not really sure what that means at all. We're talking about Wales, aren't we? England, okay. England is the dark blue. Yeah, okay. So it happened in September. Whereas in October, careful with your grammar here. This isn't English grammar. This is maybe another language you speak proficiently. That's not English though. It's another high peak was registered in September, whereas in October, a significant fall was recorded. Okay? The data provided by Scotland, it is noticeable. All right. I really want you to be careful. This is a consistent thing that you're doing in this task one. Again, this is not appropriate grammar. It is noticeable, a sharply up and down trend. Okay? It should be, let's see, according to the data provided by Scotland, a sharp fluctuation is noticeable from January until the beginning of May, where in February, the lowest point was registered around 25 ml of rainfall. In March, you see, again, this is not appropriate grammar. In March, you could have said was the highest peak. That would have been okay. More than 125. From May to July, it was a gradual rise. I don't like this it was. What is it and what is was? It's just very vague. So you could say from May to June, rainfall experienced a gradual rise. But in the third trimester of the year, a visible drop followed by a jump registered in October. Is it to almost 120? Is it of 120? I'm not really clear here, but you can't say almost 120 because that's not clear what you mean. A rapid decline happened in November and it reached just over 50 ml, followed by a rise in December. Wales had, during its first trimester, a period of moderate fluctuation. All right, that's good. It followed by its lowest point. It followed, I don't understand that. Roughly, I think you mean this was followed by its lowest point. Roughly, careful with your spelling, 25 ml registered in April. A sudden, I don't understand that. Wait a minute. Oh, first trimester. Okay, fine. A sudden growth was registered in May, and a sharp decline happened in June. There's no data here. The highest peak was registered in July with more than 120 of rainfall. The third trimester remained stable, about less than 50 ml for all the period. Another peak is visible in November, reaching here just over 100 ml, followed by a drop in December. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here is do a little word count. Let's see. Okay, it's what I thought. 308 words. So you're double the word minimum. There is no official word maximum, okay? But because this is a task where you are asked to edit and you're asked to compare and contrast and really make your information concise, this is just really, really, really too long. And I noticed, especially somewhere in these paragraphs, it's just there was too much information. This line graph has 36 pieces of information, okay? You're not supposed to talk about each and every single one of them. Instead, what you want to do is you really want to focus on the key points. And then the rest of it you can disregard, essentially, because one of the first things you mentioned was that the entire graph showed a lot of fluctuation. So if you ask me, there are certain key points here that you do want to mention, and the rest of it you can literally just ignore. So what are the key points? Well, the key points, first of all, are the beginning and the end. I mean, it's a year, so you want to know where the year began and you want to know where it ended. Apart from that, that's just 6 points, obviously. So what are the other points that are worth mentioning? There are about 5 in each line, in each country. So again, starting with Scotland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, why? Because you want to see where the year began. You want to mention what the lowest point was. You want to mention that it had 2 peaks, one in the following month, and then one much later in the year in October. And then it ended the year just a little lower than where it began. And that's the kind of information you want to provide about Wales. And you can do something similar with the other 2 countries as well. Let's see. So again, take for example England. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it had 3 peaks, and one of them was at the very end of the year. Okay, so that's what you need to be focusing on. And this is a more condensed, more concise way of doing this. It's really focusing on those important features here. And you'll see that it'll get you a more tightly organized task 1. So you want to look for those patterns, you want to look for those highs, you want to look for those lows, any sort of interesting things. So for example, one interesting thing that you would absolutely want to mention in Wales is this. It's the only country that has a plateau. You also want to mention, for example, I guess you could mention that. Yeah, you did that actually in your overview. You mentioned that the lowest point was in Scotland. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so go ahead and work on your next set of essays, correct these, see if you can condense it using this kind of information that I highlighted, and let's see more work from you. Okay, good luck.